So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one and all. We're going to start in about 1 minute time. But for viewers, I just wanted to get a quick rundown on some polling questions. So, if I could ask a few questions. So, if you see on your window, you would see three questions. From which region do you work? Is it Africa, Asia Pacific, Europe, North America, or South America? So that's on the region part. Then what's your maturity in the business relationship management space? Either being a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. If you have done any certifications like BRMP, which is Business Relationship Management Professional, CBRM, which is Certified Business Relationship Manager, both, if you have done CBRM, that means you've done BRMP as well. And if you have not done any of the certification, that is fine. It is not mandatory that do it. This is for everybody. Anybody who want to develop business relationship management as a skill, we want to get that part done, right? Thanks, Richard, for joining. Stephen, Mayong, Victoria for joining in. Put it on the chat window from which particular country, city are you dialing in today? I'd be more than happy to understand a little bit more about what you do and where do you dial in from. So please put that on the chat. We'll give about a minute's time to just make sure that everybody is dialed in. This is a much expected webinar from a lot of people. So I want to make sure that we have a lot more interactive sessions coming along the way. So let's see. Mayong says, I'm from APAC, new to BRM. Thanks, Mayong. Others as well, Esther, Fatima, Isabel, Laurie, Dinesh, Sophia, Stephen. You can actually put your city and country as well as we go through it. Thanks. I will put this back into what kind of the composition that we have. We have a good list of people from different areas. So I will give about another 10 seconds for people to complete the three questions. The region, your maturity in terms of business relationship management, as well as any certifications like BRMP, CBRM, both or none. So I'll go there and end this poll and share the results. So we have 29% from Africa, 29% from APAC, 14% from Europe, and 29% from North America. That's a good split. We have people from all different regions. From a maturity standpoint, we have 86% as beginners, 14% as intermediate. And in terms of certification, 14% have done BRMP and 86% have not done that. So thanks so much for posting your responses. Thanks. We'll get started. So thanks, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever all you are based. And thank you so much on behalf of Taub Solutions that you have taken the time to come there and be with us today. We want to make sure that we deliver outstanding value as part of Taub Solutions doing this high-performing BRM workshop webinar. So the agenda for today would be introduction and context setting, the habits of highly successful BRM program. I've been a BRM coach. I've been a master BRM, and over the years, I've helped manage customers globally, implementing business relationship management as a program. And I'm going to share some practical insights of what does a business relationship management program entitles and some of the key lessons learned from the implementation. We're going to talk also about this, how to build a high performing team, because I see you being leaders from different geographies, running different lines of businesses, business unit. So we want to kind of look at some of the hallmarks of building high performing teams that will be able to achieve strategic outcomes. And we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. And that's the whole agenda that we want to cover in the next 1 hour or so. So a quick introduction to myself and Taub Solutions. I'm the managing director of Taub Solutions. Taub as a company stands for Taking You Beyond. We are in this business for the last 10 years, spread in India, Singapore, US, and Australia. We do work in about 18 countries. I'm a business relationship management coach and a master BRM. I've been also in this IT space for about overall 24 plus years in the industry. Started with software development, IT service management, IT governance. In the last 10 years, we've been heavily focused on business relationship management, both from BRM, CBRM, which is one of the certifications that APMG International provides in partnership with BRM Institute. I'm also the regional leader for BRM Institute for Asia Pacific. I also chair in global conferences speaking about thought leadership around these IT best practices, and which includes XLA, IT service management, DevOps, site reliability engineering, business relationship management. I was awarded the ITSM Contributor of the Year 2013 by ITSM of Singapore. And I'm also one of the HDI's top 25 influencers for 2024. You see my esteemed colleagues who are spread all over the world. So it's been a great honor to be part of this elite list for 3 consecutive years. And in terms of Taub Solutions, we are an accredited training provider for the BRM Institute. We are also a master knowledge provider of the BRM Institute, which is the tier 1 status that we do. Over the years, I've been bestowed with a lot of industry recognition awards, which is the Master BRM, the Global Community Impact Award of 2020. I was awarded the top 2021 BRM status, as well as a trailblazer, both in 2016 in Sydney, as well as in New Orleans for 2022 for Purpose in Evolution. So one of the role is about sharing knowledge. So I'm a very passionate about sharing knowledge and best practices to this community. And I hope that I can inspire the rest of the world on these best practices as we go forward. So what does it mean when you call it as business relationship management? A lot of people think about business relationship management from various aspects. Of course, it is all about relationships, but it goes beyond that. It talks about portfolio management, strategic partnering, convergence, right? In time and again, we always talk about business and IT is aligned, where business is already there, IT is trying to catch up the game. But in reality, business and IT should be converged, which means when you are doing your strategic planning, we are in this together. So in terms of a lot of the aspect, you think about value realization, looking at strategic alignment, looking at stakeholder management. There is so many different moving parts when it comes to business relationship management. So in this 1 hour, we're going to kind of unravel what are the essential characteristics that are important to build a high-performing team. As I've been a BRM coach for so many years, I've realized one of the most important part is how do you build a high-performing team? How do people get driven by purpose, right? Daniel Pink talks about 3 attributes. He talks about purpose, second is autonomy, and third is mastery of skills. So as you start to focus on having that broader vision, purpose of why you exist, remember the golden circle of why do we exist, does a company exist, and then we start going into much more about autonomy, like self-organizing teams, but also mastery of skills, right? So that's hallmark of high-performing team according to Daniel Pink. Now let's talk about business leaders. As I go coach, consult, train people globally, I asked this question: what does a business leader or business partners refer to? By the way, business partner means the person whom you are serving, which is either we call it as customer, we don't call it as customer because in customer vendor, it's a more of a tactical relationship. We call them as business partners because when you say business partners, we are in this together, right? Our end goal is we have to be together to achieve the strategic goal. So what are some of these needs and aspirations of business partner? How can our organization achieve competitive advantage, right? How can we make sure that we are growing in terms of revenue? How can you reduce the cost, improve the productivity? We have been talking a lot about AI, agentic AI, generative AI. So a lot more thing is about productivity, automation, so that we free up our time to focus on more strategic activities, building strategic partnerships that will help us to move and get to strategic outcomes, right? We also are talking about how do we increase market share. So if you're a publicly listed company, you're looking at your stock price. How do I increase my stock price? How do I increase my value for my shareholders? That's of importance when it comes to the board, when it comes to governance. How do I improve my brand equity? How do you attract talent? Right? So you look at companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, they attract talent based on their brand equity. So each and every organization wants to embark on getting that brand image, brand equity, so that they can attract the right talent. There's also about how do you retain customers. So today, as I look at the the era of AI, a lot of these stuff are also boiling towards human relationships. I've had enough amount of instances, the contracts have been renegotiated. They said, you know, you're a bunch of great folks. It's happy to do business with you. A lot of these are boiling towards relationship-centered organization. They are focusing on making sure that we are adding value, but also building that relationship sustainably so that you can achieve that strategic outcomes. Improving bottom line, which is at the end of the day, profits. I coach a lot of entrepreneurs here, and one of the questions we ask is, what's your profitability? And all of them talk about my top line, my revenue growth. If you have revenue, but your expenses are over your revenue, your profit does not work. So, are you a profitable enterprise? And which new products should I release to the market? Because today, customers are asking, business partners are asking, what is the go forward direction? Can we move into agentic AI? Can we do machine learning? Can we look at IoT? You're looking at different technology, blockchain, and seeing how we can achieve that strategic outcomes. So, as a business relationship manager, how can you make a positive impact? There are a few things that you can do. So, as we see time and again, business relationship managers help to achieve strategic business objectives, which means about success initiatives. The second one is about growth and efficiency. As an organization, how do you scale your organization from 10 to 100 to 1,000 and a million people? Is basically how do you grow your company? How do you bring in optimum efficiency across your end-to-end value chain? So all your technology assets has to be leveraged to the greatest extent. And do you make that strategic connection between my business partner and provider? Because most of the times it's a very tactical relationship. Oh, I have a project, I'm just delivering a project and I'm done. But our primary objective is pushing yourself and saying that I should not be just doing tactical stuff. I should be stepping up the game to become a more strategic partner. How do I go there and achieve that objective? How do I improve technology planning and budgeting? Because at the end of the day, you invest a lot of money in terms of technology. Are we getting desired outcomes? Because if you're not getting better return on investment or value on investment, why do we even invest on such technologies? Are we able to make better decisions? And this is where AI analytics is giving you practical insights to say this is what you should be doing, ideally to achieve that strategic goal. Effective technology investment and ensuring that we are innovation. Today, innovation is at the helm of every enterprise. If we don't innovate, we perish. And it's important that we continuously look out for opportunities to enhance the value proposition for your customers, service providers, employees, and shareholders. So I get asked this question always about why do business relationship management programs fail? And I ask this question that there's a couple of reasons that we get this one done. One of the things is about an area of lack of management support. That's very evident that we talk about lack of management support. Second one is they don't even have a strategy. There is no clear rationale behind why do we need to have business relationship management in the first place. Poor staffing or org structure, which means that you don't have enough amount of staff to run the business, right? It's just two people and they do everything. Roles and responsibilities not being clear. You don't have the right talent being acquired, right? So people don't have skills, people don't have competencies. Then why do you, and you recruit and then you feel tired because they did not fit for purpose, right? There's too much things on the plate, right? People are not just doing their work, they're doing many more things. Communication failure. You've seen 70% of the projects do fail because of poor communication structure. Lack of business presence, because the business is not even involved in the decision making, and IT does things on their own. I'm always asked a question about business and IT, and one of the things people say that I was talking to one of the CEOs. He said, Suresh, we have two problems with IT. One, they throw jargons that just goes over my head. So I'm grappling to understand those acronyms. But the second part is they come during the budgeting season, they get their money and they disappear. We don't know what value are they creating when they are actually getting money for budgeting purposes, misaligned goals and stuff. So if I break these 10 parts, there are different aspects that comes in. One, the first five are basically the planning part of it. Because we did not do a good planning, these programs fail. The second one is execution. Okay, you got the plan in place, but when we start executing, those do not work. So what you're doing is you're trying to identify areas that we need to be good in executing the right thing that will deliver us the most value. And the third one is basically what we call as performance, right? The proof is in the pudding. Are you able to get the desired results in finally achieving strategic outcomes? If you're not getting that results, then it's of no use. So as you see, there are multiple aspects that get governed from a planning standpoint, execution standpoint, and performance standpoint that affects the business relationship management as a program. Now, what are some of the habits of highly successful BRM programs? So the first and foremost thing that I want to focus is empathy. Now, you heard about this empathy, putting yourself into others' shoes, thinking like a business partner. So start thinking about what does a business partner need? Why do they need a BRM? They can do everything by their own self. Why is business relationship manager an important person for the business partner's success? And that's a question that you need to ask. Now, I want to kind of take this into an analogy, right? You see this one, there's a lot more. You've seen the Golden Gates and a lot of bridges that we are making around. The question would be, if I look at your business partners and ask this question, what should be a business relationship management program should look like? Are we getting value in what we are doing? And you ask the same question that we spend a lot of time designing the bridge, but not enough time thinking about the people who are crossing it. We develop solutions, we develop products, but we don't know who is going to be using. Either you call an agile, we call as user story or story points. You're looking at the way people are going to use your products and services. So if you don't understand how people are going to use your products and features and functionality, then what's the whole point, right? So you need to start asking this question: what need would they want to fulfill from a business partner standpoint? How would they see the program working? If you are developing a business relationship management program, how should it work through? And what would success look like in reality? What will it look like for them in achieving that strategic goals? If we don't do that, the problem is success means much easier for your perspective. It's like a doctor saying operation success, patient died. What it means is that we heavily focus on only one thing. We talk about, I did my job, so it should deliver value. No, I'm sorry. Just because you did the right solutioning, you did the delivery, doesn't mean the business partner is going to get that value. So start asking, what does success mean? Because some of your metrics are not real indicators of adoption. I was actually in one of the as a business relationship manager, we are developing a learning management system. They said, we have rolled out and it's a success. I asked them, how many of them are using your learning management platform? How many of them have completed your e-learning courses? What's your success rate of passing in the e-learning exams? And we don't have that stats. So it's not just about releasing the product, releasing the feature, who is doing it, who is adopting it. So go more towards the return on investment, value of investment. And that's how we should start thinking about how this could be making a desirable, impactful opportunity. So when you talk about business partners, you need to start thinking about from their perspective. And this is where, as Taub Solutions, we are based in across geographies. We do work in about 18 countries. We understand culture is very important. You have heard about the quote that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So being focused on what is the true culture, how people behave, right? How do people interact with? What's the org structure? Are you a hierarchical organization? Are you a flat structure? Are you a matrix organization? Are you self-organizing teams like squads and pods and tribes? How are you dealing with together? How do you look at customers pre-COVID and post-COVID, right? You remember in 2019-20, it was more online. Now, are you going back to your workplace? Today, we are talking about hybrid workplace. How are you dealing with your business partners? I always believe that with all this technology, what you have to be remembering is it's about not B2B or B2C. It's not business to business or business to consumer. It's H to H, human to human. There's a lot of interaction that happen in a water cooler conversation. Meeting face to face, you will be able to understand a lot more perspectives that you cannot beat it through technology or through Teams or Zoom calls. So I would strongly encourage you to spend more time with your business partners because you understand the implicit needs. A lot of people get it wrong because they just do what they're asked in terms of the discovery session. But if you truly understand your business partner, you go that extra mile to understand what are the implicit needs so that you can start connecting the dots. And that's how you truly become a strategic partner. As a strategic partner, you have to think on the lines of the business partner. And a lot of times people think that, oh, I'm only doing tactical stuff. I'm not doing strategic stuff. Am I good BRM? You are absolutely a great BRM. If you're a tactical BRM or an operational BRM, remember, you have to meet your business partner at the level you saw them. Okay. And I tell this again and again in my workshops, it is very difficult to think strategic when your pants are on fire, right? So if it is the need of the hour to douse fire, douse escalations, look at fixing issues, need to do that because you need to start thinking about what will deliver the most value for your business partner. While it is great to be aspirational to be a strategic business partner, but in reality, it probably doesn't really ring a bell. So start from where your business partner is and take that step forward. Now, what can you do if you want to build empathy as part of your overall program? The first one is you need to start putting yourself in the business partner perspective, thinking the way they think, they act, right? How can you positively impact their world, right? Why do they need you, right? A lot of people say that I don't know how I can help you. You obviously need to have your domain knowledge, your domain experience. If you are an insurance business, if you are in retail business, you need to really know about that retail domain or telecom domain or manufacturing domain. Those domain knowledge are absolutely imperative. If as a BRM, if you don't have that skills, then people are not going to expect any kind of recognition because people want real domain knowledge. The second one is look at what is designing, how it can make impactful. So define what does impact mean. Third one is how is your org structure being designed, right? Are you trying to formulate a BRM leader and then there is a BRM teams that you can split into tactical BRMs to strategic BRMs to operational BRMs? Understand what's the structure, what's the underlying construct. Are you part of the provider organization? Are you part of the business organization? So you really need to define where do you fit in the overall scheme of things and collaborate. And I'm not a big fan of Rossi. I tell that it's not responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. It's like a Rossi, right? It's basically bringing that shared ownership, bringing that joint accountability. And that's how things become a lot more important because in accountability, what we do is we have one single neck to choke, but that's not going to be there because there's not true partnership. If you look at the BRM maturity model, we talk about from order taker, from ad hoc order taker, service provider, trusted advisor to strategic partner, where you have to have a skin in the game. That means we need to partner together. And that is only when you are open enough and trying to work from the beginning of the life cycle. And then how do you communicate? I tell people in IT, they are pathetic communicators. They don't know how to communicate with the C level, to mid-level management, to underlying people. So you need to have different ways of doing it. You would have heard about the famous elevator pitch because within 15 minutes, if you're not able to make an impact, your business leaders, your CXOs are not going to hear it. So you need to really master the art of communication, right? And business relationship management is more of an art rather than science. So how do you deal with all these aspects from the beginning is going to be important, and how your program is going to tailor and come forward. If you have any questions, put that on the chat. We will take it up as we go through it. The second lesson, the first lesson is empathy. How do you build empathy is important, because if you don't understand your business partner in and out, you're not going to be a high performing BRM. You're not going to be a leader. So you always have to make sure that you solve your boss problem. And people, the best way to get you promoted is to solve your boss problem, because that's how you step up your game. You get paid for what your role is, that everybody does. But if you want to go that extra mile, you need to always think about, how do I add value to my business partner? And this is one secret sauce. People, for various reasons, touch wood, people get laid off for no fault of them. But what I've seen is that the people who deliver most value for their stakeholders get job immediately. They become irreplaceable. So be that person who adds so much value in terms of educating the business partners, delivering implicit demands that actually gives you at a driver's seat towards building that relationship. And this is more important for me because all relationships do not matter. I know that we can have acquaintance, we can have some relationship that you're so close. For some people, you don't hate, but you still have to live together to do some projects. But what do you mean by meaningful relationships? You would have heard about some of the objectives being used time and again: strong relationships, valued relationship, honest relationship, strategic relationship, trusted relationships. For me, these don't matter a lot. What I want you to start thinking about, and this is a question that you need to evaluate, and only you can answer that. In terms of the relationship that you have with your business partner, is it meaningful? Are you really adding value, or are you wasting other people's time? A lot of people come and ask, oh, I don't get appointments with my business partner. Yeah, of course, because you're not adding value. The second one is it a meaningful relationship? A lot of people start praising them. Oh, business partner, you are great and stuff. You don't need to actually go there and start praising them. You just do your work, but just go and see how you can solve their problem. As a business relationship manager, you need to be focused on solving real world problems. I mean, you cannot have all the solutions, which I understand. You need support from your team members and leaders, but you need to always be hungry and curious to solve that one business problem, which will make you unstoppable. So it's all about understanding, is my relationship meaningful enough? Am I adding value? Do they trust me? Do they see that there is a mutual respect building and it's a meaningful relationship? If it's not a meaningful relationship, it's high time to think about, do you want to drop this relationship, or do you want to take that extra steps to move in? Because every relationship takes time to nurture, and it's a tough task as well. So you need to pick and choose the relationship, but start focusing on whether it is a meaningful relationship. What is meaning to one person is not meaning to other person. So you start understanding the nuances, the values, the principles together. So if I ask to give a big picture view, and I just given a big picture view of this one, we talk about that in a high performing BRM workshop. But there are some key parts that you know for sure. One is empathy that I talked about. The second one is about trust and integrity, right? How do you ensure that you develop the trust with your business partners? Adaptability, collaboration, transparency, reliability. This is a great part. How reliable are you? When you commit something to your business partner, are you ensuring that you will deliver come what may? Remember, in the earlier part, we used to call it as business relationship manager as an orchestrator. What's an orchestrator? You actually look at different moving parts, you consolidate it, and finally deliver outcome. So if you are trying to do it, you say that, don't worry, I'll take ownership of it. I, as Suresh GP, will take ownership of delivering the outcomes. So the business partner need not think, oh, I've given it to Taub Solutions, I've given it to Suresh, I've given it to XYZ, it will still get done. So it's very important that you build that level of reliability. How do you build reliability? Because time and again, you promise, You deliver what you promise, you do what you and say what you do, right? So it's a consistent way to do it. Collaborate, adapt, because we all know with COVID-19 what happened and how we are adapting. And this is also adopting into the AI era. A lot of changes are going to happen. So we probably don't look at AI as a detractor, but leverage AI to see how we can get our jobs done better. So all of these are aspects to have as a business relationship manager. By the way, you don't need to have a designated title called business relationship manager. These skills are equally important for everybody who want to be successful in your respective organizations, right? Being present, being physically present. Some people carry their pleasant demeanor of going and presenting themselves. So you hold yourself with that level of confidence, positivity, and a pleasant smile, right? So how do you have that? You heard about executive presence. Do you have an executive presence? Are you able to have a rapport with executive leaders in quick time? Particularly, this happens when it comes to town hall meetings. How do you actually focus on making sure that we are able to balance and achieve that aspects to run through it? So all of those stuff are, in a way, a very important aspects to consider for becoming a successful BRM. I'll take a pause here to see if you have any questions, any comments, thoughts. Do put on the chat, and we'll pick it up from the conversation. But you know this is going to be a very important part in any organization that you work. These business relationship management skills are going to be extremely valuable, and it's going to be helpful for people to run this better. I want to kind of call up the way that I see the whole conversation tapping on. It requires us to start understanding that if we do something, we need to apply it, right? It's not just about learning, but just also applying it in real world and seeing the progress coming through, right? So I cannot overemphasize on this factor. Time and again, we have talked about technology driving things, right? We are talking about B2B, B2C, a lot more technology, but it's at the end of the day, human factor. Relationships, relationships thrive based on human factor, right? I just recently returned from Brisbane. I'm based in Melbourne. I returned from Brisbane after a conference. The people factor was just phenomenal, right? We had 300 people, and it was like meeting old friends and developing new partnerships, new friendships. But it's all about that connection, right? Going that extra mile, going that and having that conversation with people and understanding how we can make that really impactful. So do not underestimate the power of human. And I think, to the point, the more we can have conversations of lunch together. If you are working in an organization, just go and talk with other colleagues whom you are not working with and have a lunch together. So that way you are trying to develop new relationships, new people, and conversations. Be comfortable in being uncomfortable. I did a post sometime back saying that how do you open up opportunity to talk with strangers? Because the more you talk with strangers, the better it can be to achieve strategic goals. So you start thinking about all opportunities that you can help to move in that space. So how do you set up building a meaningful relationship? Number one, you need to have your own personal brand. I get frequently asked about this question about how do you actually do your branding. I say that I do post every day on LinkedIn. If you are on LinkedIn, it's a great opportunity for you to showcase what value you bring to the table. What do you stand for? What are your goals? What are you passionate about? What's your value proposition? Are you consistently advocating for the right values? What's your purpose? What do you want people to remember about you, right? Because you can do too many things. You can be a dad, you can be a mom, you could be a sister, you could be an employee, you could be a stakeholder. You can define, but what do you want people to remember you as? And that's to be very clear from your perspective, because that's building personas, right? You're building your own persona in the way that you attract talent. When we started off Taub Solutions, I and Satya started 10 years back. We said we don't have a brand. So one of the things I did was to go around speaking in conferences in terms of thought leadership, and eventually came to be a top 25 thought leader. But over the years, I realized that when you go out and express yourself, you start building your brand. So it's going out and expressing yourself, do what you're passionately doing, and continuously doing the work, right? People will follow your work. And that's how we have grown. And thanks to all the customers, business partners, colleagues who have been supporting Taub Solutions through the way that we are seeing this through. So always think about in your own organization how to build your brand, right? It's not your title, it's not your designation. Are you delivering value? For example, you can do a tech talk, you can do a knowledge sharing, expert talk. We usually do something called as BRM brown bag, business relationship management brown bag session, where we interact from people and see how we can make that really work to build that part. So all of those stuff is an area to achieve and build it. Um, there's a question from Madhav. Mostly BRM role is familiar where you have an IT managed by outsourced partner. If you see in HR, they have mature concept like HR business partner, but still BRM and BRMP concepts are less familiar. Mostly when organizations starts thinking for BRM in the organization, they're starting to promote senior or operations leader into IT to BRM role as they hold most of the relationship with leaders. Absolutely right, Madhav. So the question is like, a lot of people think that based on their designation, they think they become better relationship managers because they work in an organization for 10, 15 years. If you work in an organization for 15 years, you know exactly how the work gets done. But that doesn't give them the rights to become a business relationship manager because it's also about your personality, right? Are you an introvert person or an extrovert person? It's okay, you can still be an introvert person, but are you able to share your knowledge, share your experience? Do you have ego with yourself? Do you support people? Are you a good collaborator? All of those aspects will define whether you're a good business relationship manager. And to be honest, Madhav, I have actually worked with all different organizations of different size, with government agencies to different organizations like the United Nations. I've seen that it's also about the role clarity that has to structure. And people, and this is what we do for anybody of you who would want your organization to know about business relationship management, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll share my credentials. We give a 1 hour executive overview of BRM, right? So if you want to know, if your organization wants to know what is executive BRM doing, what value are executive BRM going to create, you can actually start being a part of that. That can be applied in showing results. So something that you have to start thinking about your personal brand. Then about your presentation. How do you dress? How do you act upon that? How do you communicate, right? Your verbal, non-verbal communications, that's important. Your body language becomes even more important. How do you conduct yourself? How do you make sure that you're professional? What's your behavior look like when things don't go well, right? When things go well, that's great. But if it doesn't go well, how do you actually work through this whole partnerships and understand how we can make that possible to ensure that we work in that correct dimension, right? And how well do you interact with other people? Um, do you market yourself? Do you know about yourself and ensure that you are making sure that you are doing the right way in expressing the opportunities that we are dealing with? So all of those stuff becomes very important in how we start thinking and acting in the way that we make this really workable. And all of those stuff is basically how do you communicate? How do you present yourself? And that gives you a lot more important dimensions of how we can work through this overall. So that's about building relationships and meaningful relationship. Remember, you get only one chance when you talk with senior stakeholders. Within the first few seconds, you glance at the person and say whether this person is worth having a conversation or not. So you need to really kind of start understanding how you can make that more meaningful in the way we operate. So think about your verbal, non-verbal communications, your business units. How do you set up? How are you set up in your office? What kind of corporate information, your corporate directory that you need? Probably connect with them on LinkedIn. Connect with your business partner on LinkedIn. Understand what topics are they passionate about? What areas are they commenting? What posts are they doing? Understand their direct and indirect observation and see how we can make that more meaningful and see how we can make this workable towards aspect of making this really an opportunity for you to make this really workable, right? So all the stuff that we are talking about is just saying that these are areas that we need to consider holistically when you do some of those relationship stuff. Understand the values, because if you don't understand the value of the people, then it's not going to help in some form or the other. So understanding the values and the principles are going to be important. We talked about the human factor. Human factor are very important, but it's also bi-directional. It's not just thinking about, oh, I have a strategic relationship, but I don't know what my business partner think, right? I like this part too for what Mark Twain said. Never try to teach a pig to sing. You waste your time and you annoy the pig, right? So sometimes some relationships are not meant to be served. They actually are not really worth exploring or worth spending time because they are not conducive. They're not a good relationship. So you need to start thinking about, should we spend our time and effort in building that relationships or not, right? So the third lesson is keep calm and collaborate, right? There's a storm that is coming up every now and then. All you have to start thinking about it. How do I make myself calm and ensure that I collaborate? The best collaborations create something bigger than the sum of what each person can create on their own. So it's more than the sum of the parts, right? So as we start to see the sum of the parts, one of the areas that you would see quickly is that as you start going through it, you need to have a higher purpose, a vision of what you want to achieve. And everybody is trying to focus on that end goal, that we all focus on ensuring we collaborate and make this more impactful. So I want to give an example, an IT example of how typically organizations are structured. So, for example, if you look at in the left-hand side, you have VP of sales, marketing, supply chain, business units. You have IT applications, IT infrastructure, IT enterprise architecture, IT vendor management. So, right, there are the line items of people who actually report to people, business unit heads. It's very fragmented. Each one of them have their own dialogue with each different people. There are multiple conversations. There's no lack of accountability. There's a delayed response, confused communications, and unclear visibility. So we are not getting the traction that is required to achieve that strategic goals. Now, what is important is you need to change that gear towards having ITBRM, because BRM now becomes the strong conduit between the business and IT, right? But they are trying to not just looking at like a postman, right? Postman is basically you do the work and you just pass on the information to other people. But you need to be an interface managing demand and supply, right? You need to know the demand from the business side. We need to also facilitate supply from the other side. So we need to do both hand in hand together to realize the full value of how we can achieve that overall goal of effectiveness, right? So in this case, what we are saying is that it's more guided conversations, it's clear, consistent communication, it's very transparent, and people know what they're getting into it. So IT BRMs or BRMs in general are becoming a single point of focus who are able to drive that conversation. I was talking to one of the CIOs and he said, Suresh, our BRMs are associate CIOs. They are the eyes and ears on the ground who help to address the issues without any hassle. So you need to start thinking about how do you position your BRM within that particular org chart. Because if you don't have that focus, if you don't have that ownership, if you don't have that established from a leadership standpoint, then we're going to be scrambling like chickens, right? So it's just not going to work if there is no mandate, an official mandate that business relationship management has to run towards strategic outcomes. So that part of ITBRM is going to be pivotal as a conduit, as a connector, navigator, and orchestrator, finally to achieve that strategic outcomes. So, what are some of the things that you can do if you are a business relationship manager? Number one, you can share knowledge. So, one thing that I always recommend is you go to your business partner and share knowledge of the business initiatives process, so that they are well aware, right? Some of the business partners don't know how to use technology. Don't tell them that you don't know it. You just make sure that you help them, coach them, mentor them so that they are able to leverage technology and able to see results. Develop best practices, right? So best practices of relationship management, templates, OKRs. So start looking at that and sharing it with cross-functional team. How to work with your team with the rest of the teams, right? Basically, you're looking at lessons learned, shared experiences. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel because you're saving a lot of time and you're also building synergy of best practices from different business units. In Agile, we talk about retrospectives. What are retrospectives? Retrospectives are a way to talk about scenarios where retrospectives are basically what we say is that what went right, what went wrong, lessons learned. So we are kind of collaborating on that. How do you ensure that value is achieved? Because at the end of the day, people are going to tell about what value are you going to create, right? How do you make sure that sometimes too many things happening around, so we need to get clarity about how people work together, right? How do you connect the dots between the different business units based on the needs, aspirations, and deliverables? And make sure that all the tools, process are all streamlined, that each and every one in the value chain are able to use it without any hassles, right? So you need to have a combined focus of using those tools, approaches, process, and interactions. So, how do you develop a great BRM organization? First, you need to have a common strategy, right? So, you would have heard about strategy on a page. You need to start thinking about what's your common strategy look like? Who are we? What do we do? How do we do that? What do we provide? So, you need to be very clear about what do you provide as an organization. What's the common operating model, right? So how is business relationship management related to procurement, HR, marketing, finance, sales? So you kind of look at interactions, workflows, diagrams, plan collaborative events, like you kind of bring in together. We have a game called Grab a Pizza. We bring these cross-functional teams together and play a one-day simulation game where they have a lot of fun and they're also learning to process and have some wine or beer or lunch or dinner together, depending on what really works. Because all that we have to do is make sure that we are all aligned towards the overall goal that we are in this together, right? And it takes a lot more consistent approach to constantly communicate, build that rapport, and then make sure that it is really valuable in the way we see this through. The last and final lesson I think you should start focusing is on making an impact. So don't tell people about your plan. Show them your results. And tell people that don't tell that you're going to do some things. You know, we all have this newer resolutions that we all list down, but all that matters is your results, right? What do you show up? Your body, your fitness, your caliber, your results. All your results speak louder than your plans. So need to focus on what impact are you creating? Because if you don't even know what's the impact you're going to create for your business partners, then it will not even lead you to the desirable results. So I'm going to start focusing on clear impact areas for business relationship manager. First is, can you help to improve bottom line? Obviously, you can improve profitability. Bottom line is profitability if you are trying to make sure if it's cost saving and looking at automation aspect of it. New thinking and ideas, because whatever has taken you so far will not take you beyond, right? So we need to find new ways, new innovative ways to think and act to bring those best practices in to achieve that goals. I told about education and empowerment because you're trying to make sure that you educate your business partner, you empower them, and take charge. Right? Sometimes you don't need to have a title. Robin Sharma in his book says, "Leader with no title." You don't need to have a title. You can step up and take charge and make sure that your business partner is successful. Productivity gains. This is a huge topic. A lot of time gets wasted in commutation, in terms of back and forth meetings. So people are asking, with the resources that are available, how do I maximize my productivity, right? It's not being busy, focusing on the most important aspect that will move the needle. And I tell people that you need to start thinking about saying no, right? You cannot do everything. So all that you're trying to focus is focusing on the most important item that will give you the substantial value towards achieving this goal, and understand what is important for you might not be important for your business partner. So understanding the priorities and the focus area is super important from a business partner standpoint. So you need to think about these areas that could create substantial impact for your business partners. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Because these are areas that you need to start thinking about. How do I add value to my business partner, and why do they need to care for him, right? So until it creates impact, and again, you need to define based on the conversation with your business partner and the organization, what does impact mean for them, and create that initiatives and deliverables for it. So one of the things that you should do is how do you market yourself? I know a lot of CIOs talk to me when I coach and say, we business doesn't know the value of IT, of course, because IT is not promoting, IT is not projecting well enough for business to understand their value. So we need to start thinking about how do you communicate, how do you interact, how do you promote value. Communicating in terms of business terms, right? You're not talking about technical terms. You're talking about business value. We're talking about marketing yourself, right? Marketing the value of the business relationship management in terms of why do they need you? If they don't have you, what will be the problem? And then we talk about presence, right? Be present with your business partners physically and verbally. Always have a point of view and see how can I actually look at some of those opportunities to contribute towards providing that executive presence. So obviously, it's not everybody works well. Some people are naysayers, they are threatened and other stuff. So you need to have a lot of energy to overcome some of these people, right? Because they are here to pull you down. They don't want you to be successful. They always think that you're wrong. It's like those grapes are sour because they could not get it. So you will find a lot of people who are jealous about you, who are not happy because you got a great job. So they will try to pull you down. So you need to take this with a pinch of salt, right? So you need to think about if someone doesn't like you, that might be politics. Some people might take undue advantage. So you really need to do the right things. You should definitely not burn bridges, but ensure that you're doing the right things in the right manner. So, what are the key takeaways? BRM is not a just do it organization. You need to plan, you need to properly execute, and wisely perform. It's all about empathy, right? Because if you don't have empathy in what you do, then the business partners are going to not see the value of it, right? So, remember, it's not about technology, it's about human factor. You understand the values of your business partner and address them in the words and action. Collective knowledge. That's why I'm saying that we at Top Solutions every month we do these webinars to share knowledge because we think continuous learning helps us to be ahead of the curve. And I always strongly recommend that if you are not at least two levels above your business partner or customers, you're not going to be in demand. So you need to constantly learn, upgrade yourself towards making that really work and use collective knowledge, strength, and capabilities to make it sustainable. And finally, it's all about delivering results, right? You can talk about, I spend so much time and effort. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cares about how much time you spend. All they care about it, did it deliver the results? At the end of the day, it's all about delivering results that matter. So ensure that you do the right homework, you do the due diligence, and start delivering on your promises. So so hopefully that gave you a lot more insights about the high performing BRM. So we have a dedicated program called the High Performing BRM in partnership with Barclay Consulting. It's a high performing BRM where you go into a 3-day workshop like this in detail with practical scenarios, templates that you can apply on learning how to perform your BRM role at the highest level and deliver impact. You don't require any prerequisites. You can be a BRMP. You don't require any training. You don't require any certifications. You just need to know that you're keen to develop these skills. So there is no prerequisites for training or certification to attend this high performing BRM. It's learning how to do BRM as a top performer. So I give you practical coaching strategies that will help you to become a high class performing BRM in this essence. So what we cover as part of Top Solutions High Performing BRM workshop, the DNA of high performing BRM. So we're going to talk about what are the key attributes that build high performing teams and how can you develop that. The second part of it's about the meaningful relationship we talked about. Not every relationship is needed. How do you build that meaningful relationship in managing expectations and building that overall to a greater extent? We also talk about what are the core critical skills for high performing BRMs, how to master them, how to ensure that you get executive presence and achieve that overall goal, and how to make an impact. Because at the end of the day, if you're not able to create impact and value, people are not going to respect. We're going to talk about that. Then driving opportunity. How can you be taking initiatives on your own organization? How are you going to drive opportunities that will deliver considerable impact towards strategic outcomes? And then also looking at how do you make sure that if issue happens, because in spite of all your plans, something will go down, there'll be a breakage in production. So how do you ensure that you troubleshoot, you issues arise, could be people issues, could be process issues, could be technology issues. How can you arrive at resolutions? Remember, you need to be a good problem solver to solve the problems once for all and make that work. So participants leave the high performing BRMs class inspired. So I've been seeing a lot of value in the business relationship management high performing BRM class. It will create all the necessary skills, and I strongly recommend you, if you're interested, to get in touch with us at info@taubsolutions.com. Jaya would put that on the chat. You can reach out to us if you have any questions, and we will also have send you the link for this particular BRM high performing BRM workshop that you can enroll for in our next batch as well. So with that, this is my LinkedIn profile. You are more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn to have a conversation further. If you need any more insights on business relationship management and how you can become a high performing BRM, we'd be more than happy to run you through and take up any questions that you have currently in what we just talked about. So I'm opening the floor for any questions that you have. I'll be happy to answer. But business relationship management skills are very much in demand. That I see a lot of people who have done this have achieved greatness in the way that they see that overall. So with that, I'm just going to open up the floor. We have still about 4 minutes for any questions. You can either unmute yourself or you can put that on the chat. We'll be more than happy. Thank you, Laurie, for the acknowledgement, and thank you, people. But I'll open up the floor for any questions, or I'm also going to look at your chat window to see if you have any questions that you would have for me. I hope this was useful for you to get some insight. As I said, if you want to know more about what this is needed, you can mail us at info@taubsolutions.com. We will be more than happy to get more information, Isabel, Sophia, and others as well. We see there's a lot more value that you can create business relationship management skills, because with AI coming in picture, relationship is going to be a very important factor. And as you go up the value chain as becoming leaders, it becomes even more important that you harness the power of relationships. And as I go over globally, I can tell you that it's a lot more fascinating, and you will learn, you will apply some of these best practices, principles, and stand to gain a lot in the days to come. And we, as part of Taub Solutions, are pioneering in the world of business relationship management. We are going all the way to progress in terms with government agencies, private sectors, public sector companies, to building business relationship management not as a role or a discipline, but as a capability. So anybody in the value chain who wants to become a BRM can become a BRM. So it's just not about being to be done, but I look forward to continuing the conversations with all of you and seeing you in one of our next BRM workshops. It could be a business relationship management professional, it could be a certified business relationship manager, or a high performing BRM. This is a must necessary skill for everyone to be in this era. So with that, I'm going to give a last 1 minute shout out to everyone who have come there. Let's give a round of applause to everyone who have been there fully. Really appreciate everybody. Randa, Samuel, Stephen, Tony, Victoria, Madhav, Lori, Jan, Jan, Isabel, Esther, Emmanuel, Dinesh, Kali, and everyone. Really helpful, really grateful for all of your insights. We look forward to continuing the conversations. And thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. Stay connected with us because we continuously publish next webinar details. Our next webinar would be on September 30th. We're going to talk about AI governance. So definitely block your calendar. It will be the same time like this. And we will get more updates in the newsletters and campaigns as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And I look forward to seeing you successful and all the best. Yeah, go ahead, Samuel. You had a question. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Suresh. I just wanted to say thank you. Not really a question. I just wanted to thank you for all you do in the community, and it's been a wonderful time hearing you speak. Anytime you speak, it's been impactful. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the next session with you. Thank you so much.
And thanks, Samuel, for publicizing it on LinkedIn and tagging all of them. If we can do a good part of sharing the knowledge, sharing this best practice, getting one person for the webinar, it will be of great because we want to make sure that we deliver so much value for people and everybody gets benefited. So thanks a lot, Samuel, for your job of making sure that you profess this whole knowledge towards the rest of the people. And I hope that that can be meaningful. So you also would have got the certificates after attending the webinar. So please tag us as Taub Solutions, myself, Suresh, GP, if you enjoyed that, so we can get more people attend our sessions and stuff. So please feel free to tag us on LinkedIn and follow us on our social media channels as Taub Solutions. And we look forward to seeing you and continuing the conversation. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Raj. It was great learning.
Thank you. Thank you.